After nearly 2 decades together, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's love story ended quietly, or so everyone thought. But then came a song, a new performance, and suddenly fans began whispering that Keith's latest track carried a hidden message meant for someone very specific. Some say it's for his new guitarist, Maggie Baugh. Others believe it's his emotional farewell to Nicole. The truth? That's where things get complicated. Because the timing of this song and the small details buried in its lyrics have sparked a wave of speculation that refuses to die down. Was it just another stage moment or a personal confession disguised as art? And while Keith kept playing, Nicole's silence became its own statement. No interviews, no comments, just subtle moves that fans now swear reveal everything she's feeling. Stay with me, because what she did next left even longtime fans stunned. Don't forget to hit subscribe and tap the bell. This story's just getting started. After 19 long years together, the world had come to see Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban as one of Hollywood's rare success stories. The couple who had somehow made fame, distance, and pressure look effortless. But in early 2025, that illusion cracked. When news broke that the two were officially separating, it wasn't just another celebrity headline. It was a moment that felt deeply personal for millions of fans who had followed their love story from red carpets to concert stages. The confirmation came quietly, without drama or bitterness, at least on the surface. But the signs had been there for months. Fans noticed Keith's music had begun to take on a different tone, more reflective, lonelier, almost pleading. On stage, he seemed distant, caught somewhere between passion and pain. He stopped mentioning Nicole during interviews, a sharp contrast to the warmth he once expressed. His Instagram feed, once full of family moments, grew sparse and subdued. Then came the lyric changes, small, fleeting, but powerful enough to send social media into a frenzy. It was during one of his live performances that fans first caught it. A lyric once written as a love note to Nicole suddenly changed, replaced with a reference that no one saw coming. That single shift became a viral topic overnight, with fans debating whether it was a quiet farewell or a not-so-subtle message to someone new. Meanwhile, Nicole stayed poised, saying nothing publicly. She attended a few events, smiled for the cameras, and moved gracefully through the storm without a single word about Keith. But her silence didn't stop the speculation. It only fueled it, because when two people built their lives so publicly, saying nothing sometimes says the most. And everyone waited to hear what, if anything, Nicole Kidman would do next. Just when fans thought the whirlwind around Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's split had started to fade, Keith reignited the conversation with one unexpected performance. During a live show, he performed a new ballad, or what many believe to be one, titled For Maggie. The moment spread across the internet within hours, and suddenly, what began as an intimate performance became the spark that reignited global fascination with his post-divorce life. The timing couldn't have been more curious. The song's debut came only weeks after the couple's confirmed separation, and its emotional tone was impossible to ignore. Keith's voice carried a heavy vulnerability, and one name stood out: Maggie. For fans following his recent tour, that name immediately connected to Maggie Baugh, his 25-year-old touring guitarist. Cameras captured their chemistry on stage, playful smiles, lingering looks, and an unmistakable energy that fans described as different. Soon, social media was flooded with speculation. Was, for Maggie, simply a nod to his talented bandmate, or something more personal? Some argued it was a symbolic farewell to Nicole, while others insisted it was an open tribute to Maggie. Entertainment outlets picked up the story quickly, and even People magazine confirmed that Keith had recently changed lyrics in one of his classic love songs, originally written for Nicole, to include Maggie's name. That single revelation fueled every rumor further. Though both Keith and Maggie denied any romantic connection, the narrative had already taken on a life of its own. Whether For Maggie was just art, confession, or coincidence, One thing became clear. It wasn't just a song. It was the emotional spark that reopened a story the world wasn't ready to stop talking about. The moment Keith Urban's rumored song For Maggie hit the internet, social media exploded. Within hours, clips from the live performance flooded platforms like X, TikTok, and Instagram Reels. Fans dissected every second, from the way Keith looked toward Maggie on stage to the emotional tremor in his voice during the chorus. Hashtags like #UTunder for Maggie, Chandra Keith and Nicole, and Der Urban lyric change began trending across multiple countries, turning what could have been just another concert moment into one of the most talked-about celebrity debates of the month. Comment sections became mini war zones. Some fans believed Keith was simply honoring a talented guitarist who brought new energy to his tour. Others were convinced this was far more personal, that the song was a direct emotional message to Nicole Kidman, wrapped in melody and subtle regret. One fan wrote, "You can feel the pain in his voice. He's not singing to Maggie, he's singing through her." Another countered, "He's moving on. Let the man heal." TikTok creators joined in, making comparison videos showing past clips of Keith performing songs about Nicole side by side with his recent ones. The tone was unmistakable. Softer gestures, fewer smiles, and lyrics that sounded more introspective. On YouTube, reaction videos racked up hundreds of thousands of views in days, with creators debating whether For Maggie was a love letter, an apology, or an artistic escape from heartbreak. Every lyric became a clue, every pause a possible confession. The digital investigation took on a life of its own, as if millions of fans had turned into emotional detectives, trying to decode what Keith couldn't say directly. But while the internet argued, theorized, and speculated, Nicole Kidman said nothing at all. And sometimes, silence speaks louder than any song ever could. While Keith Urban's performances became the talk of the internet, Nicole Kidman chose a different kind of stage, one defined by silence, grace, and carefully chosen public moments. Since the rumors surrounding For Maggie began to swirl, Nicole has made several public appearances that fans and tabloids have analyzed down to the smallest detail. At first glance, she seemed unbothered, smiling on red carpets, attending charity events, and promoting her upcoming film projects. But for many observers, there was more beneath the surface. Reports claimed that Nicole's demeanor had changed subtly. She appeared composed, but with a quiet distance, a reflective calm that spoke louder than any statement. When she attended a recent premiere wearing a simple gold band on her right hand instead of her wedding ring, fans immediately took notice. Social media lit up with speculation that the gesture was deliberate, a quiet message that she was moving on with dignity. Others pointed to her brief, thoughtful interviews, where she avoided mentioning Keith altogether. In one instance, when asked about finding peace during personal transitions, Nicole smiled gently and said, "Sometimes, silence is the only truth you need." Though she never referenced him by name, that single line spread across fan pages like wildfire. Even her Instagram feed shifted tone, elegant black and white photos, poetic captions about new beginnings and healing. Observers noticed how the posts aligned closely with the timeline of Keith's performances, making fans wonder whether this was a coincidence or quiet communication through art. Rumors suggest that Nicole's restraint isn't detachment, it's control, a deliberate refusal to let emotion become spectacle. Yet every choice, every look, every pause invites the same question. Was this her silent response to Keith's song? To understand the weight of Keith's new song and Nicole's silence, one must look back at the music that once defined their love story. For nearly 2 decades, Keith Urban didn't just sing about love, he sang about her. From heartfelt ballads to romantic dedications, Nicole was the muse behind some of his most cherished songs. Fans still remember The Fighter, the 2017 hit written as a promise to protect and cherish her, a musical love letter that became their public anthem. Their connection through music felt timeless. On stage, Keith often shared stories of how Nicole inspired his lyrics, her laughter, her strength, the way she brought balance to his chaotic touring life. Those songs painted a picture of devotion that audiences believed would never fade. But as years passed, subtle changes began to appear in his songwriting. The carefree optimism gave way to introspection, the melodies darker, the lyrics tinged with loss. When For Maggie emerged, it wasn't just another song. It was a symbol of a new chapter, one where his muse had shifted, intentionally or not. For fans, that realization cut deep. For years, Keith sang love letters to Nicole, public confessions of affection that defined their image as Hollywood's most grounded couple. Now, listeners hear something very different. A man processing heartbreak, confusion, and the complicated freedom that follows the end of a long love. And perhaps that's why the world can't stop listening. Every new lyric feels like a message written between the lines of their shared history, a reminder that even the strongest duets sometimes end with one final, haunting note. In the middle of all the noise surrounding Keith Urban's post-divorce performances, one unexpected name became impossible to ignore: Maggie Baugh. At just 25, Maggie is an up-and-coming country artist from Florida, celebrated for her fiery fiddle skills, crisp vocals, and a stage energy that can light up any arena. She joined Keith's band as a touring guitarist and backup performer in early 2025, quickly winning over concert-goers with her talent and confidence. For a while, her rise looked purely professional, until the headlines changed. After the debut of Keith's rumored song For Maggie, videos from live shows began circulating online, capturing moments of chemistry between the two, shared smiles, long glances, and even a few playful gestures caught on fan cameras. Almost overnight, the young guitarist went from rising musician to viral headline. Within days, her social media feeds were flooded with both praise and criticism. Some fans applauded her artistry. Others unfairly accused her of stepping into the cracks of a broken marriage. The backlash was swift and personal. Commenters flooded her Instagram with speculative remarks, while entertainment pages dissected her every move. Trying to quiet the rumors, Maggie released a brief statement. "I'm grateful to play alongside Keith Urban. The rest is just noise." It was professional, poised and diplomatic, but the speculation didn't stop. Her words were quoted, reinterpreted, and reposted across dozens of gossip pages. Even when Keith and his team remained silent, the public narrative continued to build. Fans compared tour photos, interview timelines, and even matching song lyrics, convinced there was more to the story. And after that electrifying performance where Keith's voice cracked slightly on the line addressed to Maggie, the internet took it as confirmation of something deeper. Whether truth or coincidence, Maggie Baugh had become the unexpected spark in a story far larger than herself, a name forever tied to the most emotional chapter of Keith Urban's career. Few celebrity stories reveal the contrast between privacy and performance, quite like the unraveling of Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman's relationship. In the aftermath of their split, two distinct portraits emerged: Nicole, the epitome of grace and restraint, and Keith, the artist who wears his emotions on stage for the world to see. Their differing approaches turned an already personal breakup into a masterclass on how fame shapes heartbreak. Nicole Kidman has long perfected the art of silence. Rather than responding directly to rumors, she lets her image speak. She appears at charity events glowing and composed, carefully avoiding the personal questions that tabloids hope for. Every detail, from her polished wardrobe to her quiet smile, feels intentional. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's control. It allows her to navigate pain privately, keeping her dignity intact while the world speculates. Keith Urban, by contrast, seems to process emotion through sound. He turns his feelings into music, allowing fans to witness what he can't say outright. His stage has become a canvas for heartbreak and healing alike. Each lyric, each performance, feels like a glimpse into his inner world. It's raw, honest, and deeply human, but it also invites the audience into places most people would guard fiercely. This difference between them, the quiet strength versus the open wound, is what fascinates millions. It raises an inevitable question. When your love story unfolds under bright lights, can you ever truly separate your art from your life? Was, for Maggie, simply a creative expression? Or did it mark the moment Keith Urban turned private pain into public confession? In the end, the answer might lie somewhere in between. Nicole communicates through silence. Keith communicates through song. Together, they tell the same story from opposite ends, one whispering closure, the other singing it aloud. As the dust begins to settle, the story of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban feels less like celebrity gossip and more like a reflection on love, loss, and human vulnerability. Their breakup isn't just a headline, it's a study in how two people express emotion in completely different ways under the glare of fame. Keith Urban has chosen to express his emotions publicly. Through his performances, he channels heartbreak into melody, crafting songs that feel both confessional and universal. For Maggie, whether real or rumored, represents the kind of emotional storytelling fans have always loved him for. Personal, sincere, and layered with meaning. It's the continuation of a man who has never been afraid to let music speak when words fall short. Nicole Kidman, in contrast, has handled the aftermath with composed silence. She hasn't issued statements or clapped back at speculation. Instead, she's communicated through grace. Her stillness has become its own narrative, quiet but powerful. It's a reminder that not every emotion needs an audience, and not every story needs an answer. Together, they embody two sides of heartbreak, one pouring it out through song, the other rebuilding quietly behind the curtain. And that contrast, his openness and her restraint, is what keeps the world watching. Because every lyric Keith sings seems to echo emotions Nicole never verbalizes. Maybe that's why this story continues to resonate. It's not just about who inspired the song. It's about how both of them, in their own ways, are still writing the final verse of a love story that refuses to fade. So, did Nicole Kidman secretly react to Keith Urban's For Maggie? That question still lingers, unanswered, mysterious, and deeply human. While neither of them has spoken publicly about the song, their silence and performances have become part of a larger emotional dialogue that fans can't stop analyzing. When Keith delivered those altered lyrics on stage, an act captured just weeks after their confirmed separation by Reuters, it wasn't just another concert moment. It felt like a public release of something personal, almost like a goodbye set to music. And for Nicole, her lack of comment has spoken volumes. Her quiet composure and measured appearances reflect a woman choosing peace over spectacle, a contrast that only deepens the intrigue. Together, their silence and expression have become two sides of the same story. His songs reveal what words can't say, while her restraint shows strength in stillness. What fascinates audiences most is not the gossip, but the emotional truth beneath it. These two aren't just celebrities. They're symbols of how people love, lose, and rebuild under the world's brightest lights. Each lyric Keith sings feels like a question only Nicole could answer, and every time she stays silent, that mystery grows stronger. Maybe that's why this story continues to captivate millions, because it's about more than fame. It's about closure, vulnerability, and the echoes of a love story that refuses to fade. Comment below, hit subscribe, and tap the bell icon for more deep dives into Hollywood's most emotional stories. Because next, we're uncovering Keith Urban's cryptic interview that might reveal more than anyone expected.